Good evening, honorable judges, respected members of the opposition bench, our fellow government team, and everyone present here today. As the first speaker of opening government, as I'm here to support the motion, this House believes that discipline is the foundation of good education. Our main claim is that discipline builds the structure and mindset needed for effective learning and long-term academic success. First, disciplined students are able to manage their time, focus on their studies, and complete tasks effectively. Second, schools that enforce discipline create a safe and structured environment that encourages respect and cooperation. For example, countries like Japan emphasize discipline in classrooms and consistently rank high in global education performance. The reason discipline supports education is because learning requires consistency, patience, and self-control. Qualities are equally built through disciplines. Without discipline, even talented students may fail due to lack of focus and persistence. Psychological studies show that discipline habits improve concentration, reduce procrastination, and enhance academic outcomes. Teachers and parents often agree that a structured environment helps children internalize responsibility. The opposition may argue that creativity and freedom are more important. However, discipline doesn't kill creativity. It provides the order necessary for it to grow productively. Without discipline, creativity turns into chaos. In conclusion, discipline is not merely a rule. It is the foundation that shapes character, consistency, and success in education. For these reasons, we, the government bench, firmly believe that discipline is the foundation of good education. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable judges, members of the House, and everyone here. My name is Firsty Nayla, and my partner is Dina Farida. We, as the opening proposition, strongly disagree with motion. This House believes that discipline is the foundation of education. Before we continue, let's clarify. We agree that discipline is important. Yes, it helps students that stay organized and focused. But we believe that discipline alone cannot be the foundation of good education. The true foundation should be motivation, curiosity, and a love for the learning. First argument, if schools focus too much on discipline, education becomes too strict and controlling. Students only follow the rules without understanding why. This kills creativity and makes learning feel like a punishment, not a discovery. Second argument, real education should inspire, not just control. A good system should teach students to think critically, ask questions, and explore ideas freely. That's how we create innovators, not just obedient students. Third argument, every student learns differently. Too much discipline ignores individuality. Some students need freedom and flexibility to express themselves and reach their potential. In conclusion, discipline is just one part of education, but it's not the foundation. Education should start from motivation, inspiration, and understanding, not just rules. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable judges, respect member of the opposition bench, our fellow government team, and everyone present here today. My name is Jessica. As the second speaker of the opening government, I strongly support the motion. This House believes that discipline is the foundation of good education. Discipline is essential because it creates a structured and focused learning environment where students can develop both academic and moral growth. Studies show that students who practice self-discipline perform better academically and socially, as they can manage their time, emotions, and responsibility effectively. Without discipline, even the best education system fail because students lack the control to apply what they learn. Discipline builds habits that sustain learning in the long term. For example, school with consistent rules and clear routines report higher academic performance and lower dropout rates. The opposition might argue that discipline limits creativity. However, true discipline does not restrict. It provides balance, allowing creativity and flourish within focus and responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore, discipline is not just a rule. It is the backbone that supports all learning. Without it, education loses its strength and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 1. As the second speaker of the opening opposition, I will extend our argument and give some rebuttal to the government side. First, good education should be different independent thinkers, not just obedient followers. When school focus too much on discipline, students become afraid to make mistakes. Bad mistakes are a natural part of learning. They help students grow and improve. Second, emotional support and creativity and stronger foundation that discipline if students feel self-supported and encouraged, they will naturally develop self-discipline on their own. True discipline comes from understanding, not from fear. Now, to reboot the government, they may say discipline keeps students focused and success. However, discipline without motivation on creative pressure, students may follow rules, but they don't truly learn. Education should not be about fear of punishment, it should be about position for learning. In conclusion, we believe that discipline is important, but it should not be the main foundation. The best education grows from freedom, creative, and is to learn, not from strict rules. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the first speaker of closing government, I will extend our side as case by explaining how discipline plays irreplaceable role in shaping real success, fairness, and emotional stability. While the opening government has focused that disciplines as a rules or punishment or a pressure to the students, I will go deeper into how disciplines affect long-term outcomes, both individually and systemically. First, disciplines build lifelong success beyond academics. Discipline is not just about following school rules. It's about creating a consistent patterns of behavior that becomes a life skill. For example, when students consistently manage their study schedule, arrive on time, and meet deadlines, they're practicing the same time management and goal setting skills that professionals need in their careers. Like the proof is most of successful people say that discipline is the key. Even this shows that disciplines build self-sustaining learners, people who don't rely on external pressure, but internalize the values of effort and consistency. That's why discipline is not just a classroom necessity, it's a foundation that transforms temporary education into lifelong growth. Second, discipline ensures fairness and equality in education. A disciplined education system apply rule equally and transparently. When attendance, grading, and behavioral policies are enforced the same way for every student, no one gets special treatment, not even those with privilege or close relationship with teachers. This consistency prevents bias, favoritism, and corruption within the education system. For instance, a teacher who strictly follows rubric and deadline ensure that grades reflect performance, not personal preference. Without discipline, education becomes subjective and unfair. But with disciplines, every student competes under the same conditions, creating an equal, trustworthy learning environment. Third, discipline strengthens self-regulation and emotional control. Discipline trains students to manage emotion, delay gratification, and stay calm under pressure. Qualities that intelligence alone cannot provide. A disciplined students learn to study even when when they are tired, to face exam without panic, and to recover after failure. This emotional stability prevents anxiety and burnout, especially in competitive learning environments. According to educational psychology studies, Students with strong self-discipline show higher focus and lower stress levels because they are trained to handle pressure with structure and patience. In short, discipline creates mental resilience, the ability to continue learn despite difficulties, and that is the true mark of good education. For to conclude, discipline is not about strict control, it's about stability, fairness, and resilience. It builds habits that lead to lifelong success, ensure equality through fair systems, and shapes emotional strength that sustain learning. That's why we, the closing government, strongly believe that discipline is the true foundation of good education. Thank you.
Good evening, the honorable educators, respected member of the House, and my fellow debaters, and ladies and gentlemen present here. We as the closing oppositions, and we proud to stand against today's motion is this House believes that discipline is the foundations of good education. Before I move to my arguments, let's make it clear that we the opposition's bench do not. Instead, we believe that motivations, curiosity, if education only focuses on discipline, following rules, sitting quietly, and memorizing facts, then what happens to creativity and critical thinking? And according to research from Harvard Graduate School of Education in 2018, students who are encouraged to explore and questions learn better are remember longer than those who only follow strict discipline. And for example, in Finland, one of the countries with the best education systems, school focus more on students' happiness, collaborations, and curiosity, not punishments or strict rules. And yet, their academic performance is among the top in the world. So we can really say that discipline is the foundations. Clearly not. It's only a supporting element, not the care. And the second, too much discipline creates fear instead of motivations. When students are too afraid to make mistakes, they stop trying new things. And they study just to avoid punishment, not because they want to learn. A study from Stanford University in 2019 found that schools with a highly disciplinary system reportedly higher student anxiety and lower intrinsic motivations. Imagine a child who always hears, "Don't be late, don't talk, or don't fall." That child may follow rules, yes, but will they love learning? Probably not. Good education should make students feel safe to explore, not pressure to obey. Without that freedom, education becomes a mechanical, just memorizing, not understanding. And then education is not only about rules and obedience, it's about growth, values, and corrections. According to UNESCO's report in 2020, successful education system focus on building motivations and curiosity and emotional intelligence. These are what truly shape lifelong learners. Think about it. Many successful people, scientists, artists, innovators, often say that success because their teachers inspired them, not because they were punished onto disciplines. For instance, Albert Einstein once said, "It's the supreme art of the teacher to awake joy in creativity, expression, and knowledge. The joy, not fear of punishment, is what creates of real education." And then let's not forget that students are humans. Students are not a robot. Strict disciplines may lead to obedience, but without empathy, it can cause trauma or rebellion. In Indonesia itself, we often hear cases of physical punishment or humiliations in schools that are justified as the teaching disciplines. But research from Komnas Perlindungan Anak in 2022 shows that such methods damage students' confidence and mental health. Education should teach responsibility, not blind obedience. It should encourage itself control that comes from understanding, not will. The closing government might say that discipline teaches time management and responsibility, but let's be realistic. Those values come from motivations and guidance, not from punishment or strict order. Without emotional support, discipline becomes meaning, and you can force students to sit and read, but you cannot force them to care. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have shown that discipline alone does not create deep understanding, and overemphasis on discipline leads to fear and stress. Real education stands on motivations and curiosity and emotional support. Therefore, the true foundations of good education is not discipline, it is inspirations and empathy that nurture both the mind of the heart. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, honorable judges, member of the House, and my respected audience. My name is Nasya, and I probably stand as the Deputy Speaker of Closing Government. Today, we are not debating whether discipline means punishment, but whether discipline is the foundation, the core structure that allows education to work effectively. And our team believes it truly is, because education without discipline is like a ship without direction. It floats but never reaches its goal. From the opening government, we heard that discipline is essential and that habits built through discipline lead to long-term educational success. Our closing government first speaker extend the argument by showing that discipline builds lifelong success beyond academics, discipline ensures fairness and equality in education, discipline strengthens self-regulation and emotional control. Now, as deputy, I will reinforce those 3 points with deeper reasoning and real-world proof, bring a new perspective on how discipline connects with motivation and creativity, and rebuild the repetitive and misunderstood claim from the opposition benches. Let's start by correcting a major misconception from the opposition. Both opening opposition and closing opposition keep repeating that discipline means punishment, control, or strictness. Let me clarify. Discipline not equal like punishment. Discipline means training the mind and behavior to be consistent, responsible, and focused. When students learn discipline, they don't become obedient robots. They become self-managed learners, the kind of student who can set their own goals, meet deadlines, and keep learning even when no one is watching. According to the Harvard Education Review 2021, students who develop consistent daily routines are 40% more resilient when facing stress or failure. That's not fear, that's a mental strength built from the discipline. So when the opposition say discipline makes school too strict, they miss the real meaning. Discipline doesn't kill creativity, it gives creativity direction. The opening opposition said they too much discipline limits student potential. But ask yourself, what kind of potential grows without boundaries? A tree only grows tall when it has roots to hold it steady. Similarly, creativity and intelligence grow best when guided by structure. Discipline is not a cage, it's a compass. It gives students the focus to turn dreams into achievement. It allows teachers to manage learning time effectively, and it teaches students to take control of their own progress. In real life, successful people, artists, scientists, entrepreneurs are not just talented, they are disciplined. Because talent without discipline is only potential, never achievement. Our first speaker already showed this, but let me strengthen it. When there is no discipline, the classroom becomes unfair. Rules lose meaning. Students who cheat or skip tests face no consequence, while hardworking ones gain nothing for their effort. So discipline actually protects equality. It ensures that everyone, no matter how talented, must put effort, consistency, and respect toward others. A school without discipline might look happy, but it's not fair. It rewards laziness and punish responsibility. That's why discipline is the foundation of justice in education. The opposition repeatedly said that too much discipline makes students afraid or anxious, but anxiety doesn't come from discipline. It comes from unclear rules and inconsistent environments. When teachers apply discipline with clarity and fairness, students feel safe and supported. They know what's expected, what the limits are, and how to manage mistakes. So if anything, discipline reduces fear because it replaces chaos with clarity. Now let's address closing opposition points directly. They said Education is not about rules, but about growth and happiness. We agree, education is about growth, but how can growth happen without structure? Even happiness comes from progress, and progress needs consistency. Without discipline, students might feel happy, but they won't truly learn or develop perseverance. They also repeated that students will be afraid to be creative. This argument is not only repetitive, but also false. Real creativity needs focus, commitment, and discipline because new ideas come from sustained effort. Discipline doesn't block imagination, it builds the stamina to turn imagination into innovation. Finally, they said school should be enjoyable. Of course, but enjoyable doesn't mean unstructured. The most effective learning environments like Finland or Japan combine joy and discipline. Because joy without responsibility is chaos, and responsibility without joy is authorism. And good education balance both through health discipline. And let's extend the debate further. In the 21st century, education is not just about memorizing facts, it's about self-management in a world full of distraction. Students now face phones, social media, and online temptation everywhere. Without discipline, no amount of technology or creativity can save them from distraction. Modern education is digital discipline, time management, focus, and ethical behavior in using information. So discipline today isn't about punishment. It's about preparing students for self-control in a connected, chaotic world. To conclude, our team, the closing government, believes that discipline is not just one part of education. It's the very foundation that supports everything else. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It doesn't restrict freedom, it's built it. It ensures fairness, equality, and focus, and it gives students the resilience they need to thrive in real life. Without discipline, intelligence turns into destruction. Without discipline, freedom turns into chaos. But with discipline, education becomes meaningful, purposeful, and transformative. That's why we are proud to stand for this motion. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable educator, esteemed member of the House, and fellow debaters. I'm Nayna, the second speaker of the closing opposition, and today I'm strongly stand against the motion that discipline is the foundation of good education. Let me begin by acknowledging that discipline have value. Yes, it matters. However, we in the opposition believe that discipline alone is not and should not be considered the foundation of education. Education is far more complex. It grows not only from control another, but from curiosity, creativity, motivation, and understanding. The government glorifies discipline as the foundation, but what kind of discipline are we talking about? If we mean strict control, rule following, and uniformity, then we are not educating minds, we are training robots. According to John Dewey, one of the world's most respected educational philosophers, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. When students are forced into rigid discipline, they may learn to obey but not to think. A good education must develop independent thinkers, not passive followers. In fact, a 2023 UNESCO study found that school with overly strict disciplinary systems show lower creativity and student engagement level by up to 13.7% compared to schools that emphasize autonomy and motivation. So discipline might keep students quiet, but it doesn't make them learn. Education thrives when students want to learn, not when they are forced to. Discipline might maintain order, but motivation builds understanding. When students are genuinely curious, they explore deeper, ask questions, and connect learning with Real life. Let's look at Finland, one of the countries with the highest education quality in the world. According to the OECD 2024 education report, Finnish school prioritize student autonomy, trust, and intrinsic motivation rather than punishment or rigid control. Yet they continue to outperform countries with stricter system in literacy, problem solving, and of course creativity. Thus, clear evidence that motion and engagement, not more discipline, are the true foundation of good education. When discipline is treated as the foundation, schools often adopt fair-paced methods, strict rules, punishment for minor mistakes, and issue and excessive control. This doesn't build good students, it builds anxiety. A World Health Organization report 2023 found that 1 in 3 students experience significant traits of fear of failure due to excessive school discipline. No, thank you. Our author is a classroom environment. Should fear might improve short-term compliance, but it kills long-term love for learning. In the end, students may follow rules but forget the reason behind learning itself. We in the opposition that reject discipline, we reject in over glorification. No, thank you. A classroom without discipline and chaotic, yes, but a classroom built only a discipline, lifeless. Let me respond briefly to the government likely points. They said discipline builds responsibility. We agree, but responsibility is meaningful only when it's guided by understanding, not fear. They said discipline ensures consistency, and they claim discipline leads to success. With the closing opposition believe that discipline important, but it is a tool, not a foundation. So, honorable judge, we reject the idea that discipline alone can define education. A good education is not about silence and order, it's about purpose, growth, and understanding. Let us not build classroom of fear, but environment of curiosity. Let us rise not just of being students, but wise human beings. Thank you. Thank you, guys.